Flutter for Web is finally here, and I'm sure that all the developers who've played with Flutter are very excited to see it finally reach the light of the world. While Flutter for Web is still in a technical preview, which brings a couple of caveats together with it, that doesn't stop you from learning how to work with it. You're going to learn how to set up your machine to allow for Flutter web development, how to create a new Flutter web project, and also how to migrate an existing mobile Flutter project to support the web. What you can see right now on the screen is actually a migrated project from a different tutorial. And apart from some little caveats, which I'm going to show you, it works just fine. For example, icons are not yet supported, but otherwise the animations are really awesome. And we can navigate between multiple pages just fine, even inside the browser. Is online privacy important to you? Of course it is. With NordVPN you will be safe whether you are at home on your computer or on your phone connected to a public Wi-Fi. NordVPN has got you covered with military-grade encryption, unlimited bandwidth, servers in more than 62 countries around the world, absolutely no logging, easy-to-use apps for all the different platforms, super fast servers, and NordVPN comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. As if that wasn't enough, now you can get 75% off NordVPN plus an additional month for free if you use the link in the description or use the coupon code RESOCODER during the checkout. Hello, welcome to ResoCoder, and to make Flutter for Web work, your Flutter version must be at least 1.5.4, so go to the console, to the command line or to the terminal depending on which platform you are in, and just run flutter upgrade, and you should be good to go after it upgrades because it's going to download the latest version. Then you can use either VS Code or IntelliJ editor or any kind of other editor together with the command line and with its plugins, but I'm going to use VS Code. No matter which kind of an editor you are using though, you have to make sure that you have the most up-to-date version of that editor and also the most up-to-date version of the respective plugin or extension. So just go to the extensions tab here in VS Code at least and search for Flutter, and you want to have version at least 3.0.0. Currently there is version 3.0.2 already, so just make sure that the version 3 is installed regarding the Flutter extension. Web development requires the WebDev package, and if you want to create a new web project using a template similar to how you can create a new classic mobile Flutter project inside VS Code, for example, by hitting Flutter New Project here, you will also get the other option for Flutter New Web Project, but this needs a package called Stagehand. There are two ways to install these packages. The first way may not work for you, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. However, you should know that the second way will work every single time for every person. But let's try the first way first, because that's actually what the Flutter team recommends. What you want to do is to open some kind of an older Flutter project. You can even create a new one, not web project yet, but just a new project here. I'm going to open one previous tutorial. And what you want to do is to run flutter packages pub global activate webdev. Now run this command, and this will add the webdev package into your Flutter installation folder, into the pub cache subfolder. And in theory, what you should be then able to do is to just call webdev command directly from the terminal. But together with webdev, we also want to install Stagehand, so run the same command as previously, but just change webdev to Stagehand. Run this now. It's going to install even the Stagehand package for creating new projects. Well, that was quick. And now these packages are installed inside your Flutter installation folder, inside pub cache here, and global packages. You can see Stagehand and WebDev are both here, and they were installed just now. So again, in theory, what you should be able to do now is to just run the stagehand command or webdev command directly from the command line after you add the pubcache bin folder to your Windows path, because as you can see, this contains stagehand.bat and also webdev.bat. So let's open up the search bar, search for environment variables. So let's click on them. We want to edit path, so edit it, and then just copy this path and paste it as a new path. I've already done it, so just paste it again here. You want to have the path to the pubcache bin folder. Now save that and we should be good to go in theory, but in practice this may not always work. Now we can test whether these commands work by opening up the console again. We are gonna open a new terminal, or actually delete the existing one, just so that the changed path is properly reflected, and we will try to run webdev serve. I know that it will not work, but it should at least give us an error message that, oh, we are not inside the web project, but it should actually try to run. But instead what it's going to say is that the file is not even present anywhere, but we know that it's actually present inside the pubcache folder for Flutter. But where the system tries to find this file, this webdev package, is inside app data roaming pubcache. At least when you are on Windows. On Mac it's going to be somewhere in the home folder. But anyway, the console just doesn't want to cooperate with the Flutter folder. So if something like this happens to you, you want to make sure that you have these packages installed precisely inside app data pubcache global packages and not inside the Flutter folder. The only option now for the webdev package to run is to actually specify the full kind of a path to it together with the Flutter packages. So you can surely do that. If you want to run your commands manually, just specify Flutter packages pub global run webdev serve. That is quite a long command to run every single time. Not mentioning that VS Code will not run it. With VS Code, whenever you are trying to run it by hitting F5, it will just call webdev serve and not this kind of a long crazy command. But it's doable. If you run Flutter packages pub global run webdev serve, it's actually going to run. But it's gonna say that we have some kind of a error because obviously we are not inside a web project for Flutter, but it at least runs. However, if you do not want to use this kind of a long command, let's continue with the second way of installing these packages, which is by first installing a separate Dart SDK. Because Flutter is just using Dart SDK, it somehow backs it up and uses it only for the Flutter projects. What you may not know if you are only a Flutter developer is that Dart SDK is actually downloadable on its own. To install it, just go to flutter.dev, link is in the video description, and also in the video description is the written tutorial, so if you want to learn from it at your own pace, definitely check it out. Just click on the link in the video description, which is gonna take you to resocoder.com. So on dart.dev/get Dart, we want to get the Dart SDK for your respective platform. So there are really cool tutorials, little tutorials for Windows, Linux and Mac. On Windows you can also use an installer. So just download it from here, from this link, which is on the dart.dev site. You can also use Chocolady if you are familiar with that. It's really awesome package manager for Windows and I highly recommend that you look into it. And once you have it, you want to check if you have the Dart inside your path. So again, go to search, environment variables, edit them, go to the path, edit it. You will probably not have the path to Dart SDK here. So what you want to do is to go into the Dart SDKs folder, which in my case is over in the C drive, tools, Dart SDK, because I have installed it with the Chocolady package manager. And you want to go into the bin folder of the Dart SDK, copy this path and edit the environment variables to contain this path. So add a new variable, paste that path in here, save that, okay, And now you should be good to go. Now you should be able to install the packages for the whole Dart SDK and not just inside the Flutter folder. This time the packages will be installed precisely inside app.roaming pub cache where they were missing previously. So let's close this already existing project. And now you can open up the console and just run pub global activate webdev, run this command. And you will want to do the same for the stagehand command, but I'm also going to show you another way of activating these packages, because actually VS Code is quite intelligent and it can activate these packages for you whenever you need them. So again, you can do the same thing, run the same command, but just change webdev to stagehand. However, you can also do something like this. You will try to create a new Flutter Web project, and VS Code is itself going to notify you that stagehand needs to be first installed in order to use this feature. So you can just hit activate stagehand. VS Code will run the pub global activate stagehand command for you. And now you can create a new project for the web with Flutter. How cool is that? So we're going to create a Flutter Web tutorial project. It again has some generation code for the web even, just like it has generation for Android and iOS apps. You can immediately see that we have some different things in here compared to the native mobile app Flutter projects, because we have index.html, because this is how you load the web page after all, and it has only one single script, which is main.dart.js. Before we talk more about this though, let's mention some technical preview specifics, because web development with Flutter is currently only in a technical preview, and the people over at Google have forked the official Flutter repository into a separately developed Flutter Web repository. Again, if you check out the written tutorial, all of the links and more of a write-up is in there. They forked this Flutter to a separate repository to make sure that if they break things, only the Flutter Web repository will be affected. So what this means, if we go into the lib folder actually, is that you cannot use package Flutter widgets, but you can only use Flutter Web package when you are inside web projects. This means that you cannot yet develop your web apps in the completely same code base as Flutter mobile apps. Don't worry though, as Google is actively working to merge Flutter Web into the main Flutter repository so that this kind of shenanigans will not be needed any longer. But just for now, until it's in technical preview, you will need to just play with it in a different project. So let's take a look at the default project structure. We have the lib folder, which we are all used to with main.dart, but then we have also web folder, which also has main.dart. So what's the difference between these two main.dart files? Well, as you may or may not know, Dart can be transpiled into JavaScript. And if you take a look at the index.html file, which is also inside the web folder, here it is referencing only a single script, which is main.dart.js. What's gonna happen once this code is compiled and built into a thing which can be actually uploaded to some kind of a server and run from there, is that it's going to transpile every single Dart file into JavaScript. And this includes the main.dart file inside the web folder. So what you see right here is gonna be converted into JavaScript. Actually, Dart was created for this precise scenario that you are going to transpile Dart into JavaScript, only later on they have decided that Flutter will be a thing. This is similar to TypeScript if you are familiar with that, because TypeScript also is only transpiled into JavaScript. Maybe Google has something special planned for Dart, but as of now, Dart cannot run on the web directly, it needs to be transpiled into JavaScript. Alright, so we have the main.dart inside the lib folder, which already contains some fairly simple code. It only has one page, which displays basically just a single hello world text widget. So It's really simple. You can obviously create more complex apps with Flutter for Web even now when it's in technical preview. And later in this tutorial, we are going to migrate an already existing app from a different kind of tutorial, which I recorded previously, into web. So stay tuned. For now, let's just run this default project. You can do it really simply, just like you run any kind of project. When you have the web dev package, you can just hit F5. If you would not have web dev package, you would be again prompted by VS Code to install it, just like we were prompted to install Stagehand. And it's going to open a browser window. And also another caveat with Flutter technical preview for the web is that you can only use Google Chrome for development. This applies only to development. If you then build the app and run it, you can run it on any kind of a browser basically, but the development, the tooling for the web development with Flutter is only there with the Chrome browser, which kind of makes sense because it's Google's browser. But anyway, you should know this up front. And as you can see, we have, yes, really unexciting app because it contains just one single text, but it's still a Flutter app which runs inside the browser. Another thing which is kind of not working yet with Flutter for Web is that you, for example, cannot select text here. You just cannot do it. So that's something to keep in mind for now. But of course, again, as I'm saying for the 10th time maybe already, Flutter for Web is still in technical preview. Also, if we try to change some code, for example, we are going to change the title, which currently says Flutter Demo Homepage, to say Flutter Demo Nice Page or something. So Nice Page, and we try to save that. You will see that something was running down here, but actually when we try to open it up, it still says Flutter Demo Homepage and not Nice Page. This is because Flutter for Web does currently not support hot reload. It only supports hard restart as of yet. So what we need to do is to hit Ctrl Shift F5, at least in VS Code. Now go into the browser and it's going to say Flutter Demo Nice Page instead of Homepage. Again, they are actively working to implement hard reload because Flutter without hard reload would not be Flutter after all. So they are really working hard on it. Enough with this simple project, we are now going to migrate a mobile Flutter project to the web. As I've said already, until Flutter for Web is not deemed stable, you cannot yet develop for the web and mobile simultaneously in a single project. The important word in that sentence was the yet word, because that will be possible at some point. Obviously, Flutter team wants to make that happen as fast as possible. But for now, you cannot do that. The simplest way that you can migrate your mobile apps to the web is simply to copy and paste all of the files which you have inside your lib folder of your mobile app and just get those files and paste them into the lib folder of your Flutter app and then change the imports from Flutter to say Flutter Web. Again, there are still some limitations when it comes to Flutter Web projects, and if you want to learn more about them, check out the written tutorial from the link in the video description, which is gonna take you to resocoder.com. We are now going to open a new VS Code window by hitting Ctrl, Shift and N, and inside it we want to open the previous tutorial, which is actually a tutorial about routes in Flutter. So definitely if you want to learn more about routing in Flutter, how to use onGenerate route, how to pass data into named routes and all of that kind of good stuff, check it out by clicking on the card in the corner. However, even without knowing anything about routes, you will be able to follow along, because what we want to do here is to just copy these two files. So select the first one, hit Shift on the keyboard, select the second one. Now we want to copy them, so you can use Ctrl+C or just copy. Then we want to go to the project which we have opened, which is the web project, which we have been working with this whole tutorial. Now we want to delete the main.dart from the lib folder. Yes, and we want to paste the copied files into here, into the lib folder. So now we have main.dart and route generator.dart. Route generator contains custom logic and main.dart again contains some widgets. Actually, it has two pages, first page, second page, between which we can navigate. Now, as you can see, we have a bunch of errors, for example, because the package name is different. We are not inside routing tutorial project, but inside Flutter Web Tutorial project. And also we have Flutter and not Flutter Web imported. The simplest way to fix these imports is to just delete them all together and then just hit Ctrl dot on some erroneous code. And we want to import Flutter Web Material.dart. And also we want to import this. So route generator.dart. Then go into route generator, do the same thing. So delete the imports, then import them again. This time with the correct package, so Flutter Web Material. Then we want to import our main.dart because that's where the second page is located. And now we don't have any errors inside the project. So we can save it and we can again run it. Or actually, because the project was running for the whole time, we first need to probably stop the project from running and now run it again, so that it's gonna be launched fresh. And as you can see, we are again inside the browser window here and we can navigate between pages. So go to second page and go to first page. And again, it looks a bit different than the mobile app because, for example, here on the toolbar, there should, or actually on the app bar as it's called in Flutter, there should be an icon similar to how we have the back icon directly in Google Chrome. There should be a back icon inside the app bar, but currently every icon, at least on my machine, is displayed as this kind of a Unicode non-existent character, which is kind of sad, but I'm sure that they are working to fix it. But we can navigate between multiple pages. And also what is not yet working is that the change of the page or of the route, as it's properly called on Flutter, is not yet reflected inside the URL, because usually what you want to do is that this would say something like second, right? Because that's how web works. You have URLs and you can specify some URL, it's going to take you to that URL. For example, Angular apps also do not have really just URLs, they make them up by using a router, similar to how Flutter has a router, but Angular apps can translate whatever the router is doing into URL, so the user of the app does not even know that the app was written with Angular. The user can think that it's not even a single page app because it behaves like a multi-page server-side app. Flutter currently does not apparently support this kind of thing, but it will definitely in the future because they are actively working on it. So Flutter for the web is still evolving, and while it's not yet ready for production, you can definitely feel that it's a game changer. Writing mobile native apps and web apps in only one codebase without using HTML and CSS is something that no other performance framework has ever accomplished, and the future is surely bright. Don't forget that you can get 75% off NordVPN 3-year subscription by using the link in the video description. If you don't want to miss more tutorials like this, definitely subscribe to this channel and also hit the bell button so that you can join the notification squad and be notified about every single video tutorial that I upload here, because on ResoCoder, I am determined to provide you with the best app development information and tutorials possible. If you learned how to use Flutter for web and also how to install it, because the installation process is quite cumbersome, give this video a like and also share it with other developers. Leave a comment if you have any suggestions or questions or anything else to say. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, and see you in the next video.